Alright guys, Weekend Modder here, and today we're going to be modding a Corona 16 megabyte NAND console. And if we take a real quick look up here, we can tell by the absence of R2, C6, and 7, the little resistors there, that this one is likely to require a Postfix adapter. So hang out with me. Alright guys, so to get right into it, and what's up to those of you who are in the chat already, that's awesome, cool. What we're doing here is a Corona 16 megabyte, which was a console type that I didn't have too many videos before just a couple of days ago. It's been requested several times, so definitely just want to make this sort of content available since people are asking about it. What I've done so far to the console is simply decased it. It is a slim S-type console, and then it's got the 16 megabyte NAND. There's another video on my channel. I'll see if I can throw it up somewhere in a description if I can go back and edit the video, of how you can easily identify the difference between a 16 meg NAND and a 4 gig NAND based visually on the top of the chip here. So right to it, the first step that we're going to need to do, like always, is use our scratch pin to take off the little top coating of the NAND headers. And you should notice a real difference between the pad that I've just rubbed this thing on now and then the pad beside it. Those are much shinier and will take solder much better. What's going on? Chat's hopping already. Awesome. What's up, guys? So just to throw it out there for anybody, or not for anybody, but for this customer, this is actually a customer console, Jonathan O of Texas. Jonathan O, this is your console. So let's get some flux paste on the NAND headers here. Get my iron heating up. While I'm doing that, what I'll do is I'll pull up JRunner here and give you guys an idea of where you could get the reference image for this based on my version of JRunner, which is published in a download out there on my YouTube channel and videos. So if we go to images, NANDX Slim, NANDX Corona install, you get the reference image right there for the color coding that we're going to edit here. Alright, so iron's nice and warmed up. What's up, Quaz Potty? You bought an RGH 2 weeks ago and forgot to say thank you. You're very welcome. Awesome. You used an Ace V3 on 2 consoles and now they won't boot up. Alright. Pre-tinning the pads. Now here, the one I'm doing right now is 5 volt, then ground, E, F, and then the NAND points, green and blue. Alright, so the other little bit that we do also need to do on this console, I'm going to rotate it here, are the 2 little points R2, C6, and 7 right here. So the fact that those are not present, they're empty, not populated, gives me a strong indicator that I'm going to need to put a postfix over here under the XC GPU. Alright. I'm going to throw a little bit of flux paste down over that. And I've been known to use little bits of wire to bridge these, but lately I've been having pretty good success with the iron and just being able to create solder bridges. This bottom one being the oftentimes exception. You don't have to bridge what I'm bridging now. I just tend to do it out of habit because it doesn't hurt anything. But we'll just leave it alone. What does it matter? Bass Head Forever Club. Yeah, I recognized your name from the last time you were in the chat. What's up? At Week in Modder, do I live in Colorado? Yes, I am in Colorado. I am actually in Castle Rock, technically. All right. So, back to our reference image, just to give everybody a quick glance. We went images, Nandex, Slim, Corona, and we're going to go ahead and follow that image and install our NAND wires. Ryan Mackey, you've heard some Coronas can be flashed with Zell. That would be correct. 16 megabyte NAND Coronas. If you have the later appropriate version of Zell, will allow you to read and write NAND images to Coronas. But it's specifically 16 megabyte NANDs. Alright, keep it going. You're in Littleton. Yeah, I technically I work, my day job is at in Inglewood, so I drive up through Littleton, I-25 all the time. Alright, so again, we're just following the install images here from JRunner to wire up our NAND reader. This process would be identical if you were using a JR programmer. The points would be the same that you would be soldering to pretty much regardless of what programmer you're using, but obviously the color coding may not coincide to some other programmer. So I'm just swapping out the the last console that RGH was an E series, this one's an S series, so plug it in. I don't know why I'm plugging in each. Just power, that's all I need. Grab my handy little Nandex, grab my USB and my USB extension. So alright, Nandex, plug it in, and then pop over to JRunner, and we can close our reference image and tick the little question mark. Make sure we get a valid flash config, which we do. We can say read NAND. At the little input name prompt, I just say OK, and we start our NAND reads. Where are you able to purchase a Nandex with shipping to Australia? Pretty soon, my website, you'll be able to pick up a version of the Nandex for shipping internationally as well. Right now, this moment, if you had to order one, I would say AliExpress probably. What happened to my thumb? You guys got quick eyes. I don't know. I always beat the shit out of my fingers. Sorry, I don't mean cuss. I want to be family friendly, but I beat the crap out of my hands routinely. I work on cars and lawnmowers, and I own a home, and I dig with a shovel and all that sort of stuff. When you install your Nandex, should you add sewing needles to the ends? Sewing needles is weird. I don't know that I would do that, but what you see on the end of this NAND tool are actually little pin headers soldered to the end there. You could do pin headers, you could do the legs off of a resistor, you could do the legs off of LEDs, but needles might be a little weird. Zula Edit says at Mod Shop, hey, could I RGH an eSlim only with my Ace V3? Not only with the Ace V3. I mean, the Ace V3 could be the only glitch chip that you use, but on an E-Series Slim, you're likely to need a Postfix adapter, like we're going to have to use here. So we've got a Postfix adapter, and you're likely to need an SD tool if it's 4 gig, or a JR programmer, or a Nandex, or a Super NAND flasher, or something like that. All E-Series are not Coronas. At the very late series, E-Series are Winchesters, which are unmoddable. So, what can you do with Xbox 360 Slim motherboards recycling-wise? I would say that they're probably more valuable for parts. If you find a modder or somebody who might give you a couple of bucks for one, that's more than that you're going to get in any sort of scrap value. But I would do the little bit of research looking into it. I understand that there's some really harsh chemicals that you can play with and actually extract gold out of these PCBs where it exists in really small quantities. You know, I don't know. AliExpress only has the Nandex with NAND cable. Can't find the chip read-write cable. Bummer. Sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I bet if you contact the individual suppliers, you might be able to find somebody, you know. So for those of us just joining, we are wrapping up on the second NAND read. So we've got one NAND read completed here. We are hitting the second NAND read. We're doing a 16 megabyte Corona, which will require a Postfix adapter. So we've soldered in our NAND leads per the color-coded diagram that's available in JRunner under Images, Nandex Slim Corona. And we've also bridged the little R2C6, and R2C7 points here to allow E and F to get signal. All right, so we've got 2 successful NAND reads. That's what that nice little sound was for us, and we get the very happy to see message, NANDs are the same. So we are ready to go ahead and disconnect our Nandex, unplug our standby power, and actually start working on our chip install. So here's our Ace V3 as it comes. We can monitor, do you use the same cables to RGH? Yes, absolutely. I have used these particular NAND wires for a long time. I don't know, I probably get a couple of hundred consoles out of each set of NAND wires. I've had 4 or 5 sets of NAND wires, and I've done, you know, somewhere between 11 and 1200 RGH consoles. So whatever that, okay. Kimchi Mod says he was trying to take apart my console and I was trying to separate the ribbon that connects to the power and the DVD drive. You didn't rip it, but now they don't work. You have to use a controller. So the ribbon cable that is attached to the front faceplate on Slims is like $2 in replacement part cost. I think if you had to buy one from a USA seller on eBay, you could get it for less than $10 shipped. So that's what I would do, would be replace that ribbon cable. I keep a couple of them spare on hand, just from the old days when I was doing more DVD drive flashing stuff in person. I would occasionally fix somebody's console on the spot because they would mention an issue with it while I had it. These days I don't do too many just generic repairs like that. So Amps says, bruh, why are your consoles so booty? I need somebody to explain that one to me. They're so booty. Could you buy retails and power cable from me? No, I don't sell retail consoles. All right. So, installing the glitch chip here, first point we're going to do is off the corner. This is going to be the power. And then I don't want it to actually route behind that NAND wire here. So I'm just going to pull it back out. That was the easier way to get it so that I could solder it, but when we connect it up here, I want it to route in front. Power cables, I do have a couple of fat spare power cables, so if you're interested in making an offer, most of what I have are 203 watt power supplies, which are, in my opinion, more valuable because with the little adapters like I use, you can use a 203 watt power supply to power any Xbox 360 console. So as long as it requires less, which all of the consoles since the Xenon have required less power every generation, you can use those on everything. Is there a mod for Xbox One? No, not that I'm aware of. Weekend modder is trash. Alright, great. Perfect. We've got some trollers already. 25 people in the stream, and I've seen a couple of banishments over some trolls already. Thank you and good looking out, Mr. Mr. Mod Shop. Appreciate you. You need fast shipping though. I don't know. I have to look at what I have. I'm not like doing on-demand quotes for you right now. So drop me an email and I will respond to you when I get time to. I'm sorry, I didn't start a live stream to try to give live customer quotes, you know. Alright, sorry, threw me off my game for a second. So now that we've completed the first set of connections, we can go ahead and start thinking about our two final C and D points. So what I like to do is go ahead and install these longer wires that we're going to use for those straight away, and then connect them, the D to the underside where it goes, and the C will, in this case, be over to the Postfix adapter. So that one will kind of sit there for a little while. Alright, so to take this back out of the case, Weekend Modder, I wanted to sell my RGH Jasper. Is it somewhat illegal when doing it? No, there's absolutely nothing illegal about selling a modded console. However, let me caution you that if you post your modded console as preloaded with XXX games, whatever, and preloaded with XYZ mod menu and whatever, that's where you start getting into legality questions. So one, Xbox games themselves to sell, you know, pre-installed on a hard drive is piracy. And two, a lot of those mod menus that you pay for and stuff, I understand are licensed and kind of consider that piracy as well. They license themselves to be non-transferable on purpose. So, I mean, I guess if you're operating with a mod menu, you might not care so much about legality, but you know, whatever. How much does it cost if you send 2 of your consoles in to RGH me? Twice as much as if you send 1? Maybe we can work out a little bit of a discount on shipping, but really there's not a whole lot of the price of that isn't shipping. About $15 of my send-in service price is shipping. So if it costs me just about twice that to ship 2 of them. I mean, there you go. Sendin.weekendmodder.com would have all the details you could really want. I should do videos of game modding. Yeah, I mean, man, to be honest, I don't know how some of these other guys are doing it, keeping up with crazy quantities of orders. Or at least they must be doing it full time with nothing else on their plate. I like the idea, but I think there's already so many people producing game content and stuff. What I'd really like to focus on is producing hardware mod, get you to the point where you can do that stuff. And let's let somebody else who's an expert, in how mod menus work and stuff do that. I don't know that I could claim to be an expert in Xbox 360 hardware, but when it comes to the ins and outs of RGHing, I got a pretty darn good understanding. So if I can get that information to the point where it's shared, I can make a buck or two while I'm doing it, that sort of thing. That's what I'm after. I'm not trying to go crazy and rule the world. I don't know, that's a weird thing to say, rule the world. Alright, so Postfix adapter is going to install ideally like so. And then I've covered this in another video, and a quick Weekend Modder profile would be full in seconds. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, you mean like friend ads or whatever. Yeah, I've been asked a number of times to give out my gamer tag. And so far I have made what I think is probably the wise decision and not, because I gotta imagine I would have a million ads. So, alright, so the method that we're going to use to validate the Postfix install once it's in there is we take a standard multimeter, we set our read on 200k ohms, and then what we'll do is we'll place the black connection over to the AV shield, essentially just grounding it out, and then we'll touch the red probe to the post point up here, or even any one of the pads that are designed to be soldered to. Davis is better. Okay. I'd be happy to support some constructive conversation if you guys have some genuine points you want to make. Nobody's going to get banished over an intelligent talking point. But XYZ is good and better and your shit and whatever that's not intelligent conversation is not welcome. So if you genuinely want to post and say something intelligent, express an idea. He is better because of A, B, C, and D, and if you did those things, you'd be better too, then please, by all means, post that information. Nobody's going to be banned over that. But if you're just about name-calling and fucking fanboying, then shut up and go away. I don't care. So anyway, after that rant, go ahead and get this thing installed. What do you say? So I'm going to put that down here, and we'll slide this bit up from the bottom. And that's not quite flush, but everybody can see the dialogue here. How long would it take for you to receive your RGH from you when you send it in? So typically most people send in via a method. Okay, so just to point out, see how we're getting a reading of somewhere between like 35 and 50? That's exactly what we want to see. That tells us that we have made good contact with the post point and this board is properly installed. Alright, so just chill and watch the screen leave. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, man. Sorry, so somebody was asking a question. Notice a lot of RGH sellers are so damn catty, like a bunch of bitches. Yes, I totally agree. You never scored off Craigslist for 20 bucks. You picked up a console for 20 bucks? That's a pretty good price. Crazy Kid says, his friend got a console from me. Awesome. Hey, so I think what was I saying? Crap, what was the question? I thought there was a question. I don't know. Whatever. So Postfix adapter is installed. Now what we have are the tiny little anchors here. So these are capacitors that are designed to, I don't know, capacitate, whatever. But the idea is that we can use them as anchors for our Postfix board here if we will carefully try to install those. I don't always have great success with this. So in lieu of that, if we don't get a good anchor, what we can do is use a little bit of hot glue as a substitute, kind of around the outside. And it seems like it's going that way too. Ever since the original OEM Team Executor Postfix stopped being available, these crappy Chinese clone ones don't really have enough metal on the end that they set up to solder to, and I just kind of struggle with getting them connected 100%. So that works there. That's a good anchor point. And that just makes me nervous how big that one was. There we go. So it's anchored there pretty good. What I'll do just in addition, because it makes me feel better, is when they're installed like this, is I put just a tiny bit of hot glue right over that joint where they come together, just to keep them from, like, if it was to take a hard blow in shipping or something, you know, I don't know, I just don't want it to come loose. So I just give it just that little bit of extra backup to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. Try going the opposite direction. Oh, rotate the board 90 degrees? That's a good tip. Basshead Forever says he'd like how I'm dedicated. You donate. No, I'm not looking for donations, man. I don't think I've ever asked for any. I think Mod Shop did a super chat one day just because it was fun. Does YouTube like advertise the heck out on the page that you guys are looking at? Does it show like, please super chat me, like a big thing? Like, is it distracting? Because I'll turn that crap off. I'm not trying to get you guys to pay me to stream, to donate. I do this stuff because I want to share the information, not because I expect to get anything out of the streaming. The part that I'm getting something out of is the stuff that I sell and, you know, the send-in service. Obviously, I'm being paid to do that stuff. That's where I'm making my money. Not that it's a crazy amount of money, but, you know, enough to keep me going. All right. Fresh coat of thermal paste. You picked up a Trinity Modern Warfare 3 console with 15 games, 2 controllers. Offer an old guy for 20 bucks? No way. Weekend Modder scammed your closest friend out of a console. Don't buy, trust you. Okay. How's the best way to say this? Prove it. Provide some proof. That's all there is to it. Provide some proof. Any sort of proof. I will happily respond to any sort of proof. But accusations are not proof. So post some proof, and I will fully address any and all issues that have any form of proof. Show a payment, and I will show the corresponding tracking, or tell you how you got scammed by somebody pretending to be me, if that's the case. All right. So reinstalling the heatsink here. Basshead, thank you, man. I appreciate that you would do that out of the goodness of your hearts, but totally not necessary. Oh, is that what it is? He's the same dude. I'll just block him. That's easy enough. Block. Message deleted. I think I blocked him fully, Mod Shop. If he appears again, just let me know. All right. So now we have D installed, our Postfix installed. We got everything ready to go here, with the exception of installing our C point, which goes over here to the Postfix adapter. I have the best success using it at the shortest length, the pad that's labeled 5 here. Alright. What size of solder? I use, what do I use here? 60-40 lead tin, and it is, what's the diameter? 44? 44 diameters. This is Kester 60-40 tin lead 44. That's what I would use. How long would it take to receive your Xbox after you send it in? Week, months. I think you mean to say week and monitor, but that's the question somebody had asked. So most consoles get modded within a day or two of showing up and then get shipped back out via priority mail. This particular console is actually just arrived today. Mr. Jonathan O. of Texas, whose console this is getting same-day service, and unfortunately, because tomorrow is Sunday, it won't go out the next day, but it'll go out the next possible day, which is on Monday here. Oh, cool. ModShop had the actual thickness measurement. Yeah, you want relatively thin solder, I think, because a lot of these points are fairly close to each other, so the thin diameter solder is pretty slow. What do you say? No thermal paste? I put a whole reapplication of thermal paste down on the thing. What happened to that $17 soldering iron kit? I believe it's still for sale on Amazon. Is the video or the link off the old video no longer working? Nobody's commented on it saying that. Oh, sorry for the shanky cam, guys. Alright, so let's walk through what we've done here. 16 megabyte NAND Corona. We bridged R2, C6, and 7 to allow E and F to get their signal. We installed our NAND wires. We read the NAND twice, confirming that we got good numps each time. We installed a Postfix adapter, used a multimeter to test and validate it, and finished installing the rest of our chip, the D point being the one kind of on the underside of the console here. So what we haven't done is written the ECC file to the console. So that's going to be our next step. We're going to plug back in our Nandex. We've got standby power connected. So if we go back to JRunner here and we say create ECC, write ECC, we get a nice fast little write here because it's only hitting the first 50 blocks. DOZA return shipping. Return shipping is included in the cost of the send-in service. No, to be honest, man, so Hybrid Edits asks, it works. I was just wondering if you've built more consoles with it after that video. You plan on buying it when you get a little more money. Already got the console, time to get the chips. So what I use day to day is a desktop Hacko. I think the model number is FX88D. It's a digital controlled thermometer or thermostat, whatever, so that you can custom set the temperature. But I still have that iron right here in my drawer. It's definitely a cheapo, whatever. It was not my preference as a daily driver. The handle got a little hotter than I wanted it to, but as demonstrated, it absolutely served the purpose and got the job done. So it's not a bad way to go, but is not what I'm going to use every day as a, whatever you want to call semi-professional or somebody who just uses a soldering iron a lot. Okay, so what are we doing here? We've written the ECC file, so now we can disconnect. Anytime I read or write to the NAND, I like to disconnect power, reconnect power, just kind of for the heck of it. And then we'll go ahead and attempt to boot the console. So we'll turn it on with the remote control there. And we did get a flash, and we got a first glitch instant boot as indicated by the lights there. And if we hit the screen, we're going to see Zell. Kimchi Mods, if you buy an Ace V3, it will be shipped out the same day. If you ordered it in the morning, since you're in Colorado, will it arrive the same day? Right. ModShop's reply, if you bought now, it would ship on Monday, and you would get it Tuesday likely. That's exactly right. Nobody delivers the same day unless you're Amazon and their weird pilot program. Alright, so we've got our CPU key here. We can see that it's displaying to us an IP address, which is how I'm going to enter it into my JRunner here. So I'm going to enter the .26. I'm going to click Get CPU Key. It's going to suck that in. We're going to say Create XE Build Image after verifying we're on Glitch 2 non-CR4. So we're going to create our XE Build Image. While that's going on, I'm going to power off the console, disconnect power, reconnect power, unplug the Ethernet because we don't want to mistakenly go online now, and then reconnect our NANDX for our final NAND write. And I'm going to go ahead and pull out the faceplate because while that's going on, I'm going to do the LEDs. Amps. I got to ban you too, don't I? Like I said, somebody post some intelligent conversation and I will leave that sort of stuff, but block. There we go. There were a couple of questions that flew by here. So, what is the software that comes installed when you receive your RGH? Freestyle Dash, Dash Launch, XEX Menu, and Aurora Dash are what I pre-install now. Continuing with this particular mod, so we've generated our updflash.bin. We can see that it was all finished images ready down here. So we go ahead and click Write NAND, and it's going to begin writing that NAND to the console. So while that's going on here, we'll just get started on the Ring of Light LED board. Oh, there's more. I'm not auto scrolling now. Dude, how the hell do you mod Zephyrs out of all the consoles? Yeah. So I'm glad somebody else is frustrated with them too, man. I have attempted to mod a handful of Zephyrs, and at some point after being 10 or 15 hours in on a single console, pulling my hair out trying everything there was to try, I have just decided that they are too inconsistent to offer as a service. So I don't even do Zephyr send-ins, and I don't buy them when I have them available to me retail. I simply just pass. If I buy a lot of FATs that has a Zephyr in it randomly, typically I will just flash the DVD drive and sell it as flashed and not even attempt to RGH it. For whatever reason, something about that console type is just no fun. I think some people feel that way about FATs in general. FATs, I don't mind Jaspers and Falcons. They boot pretty consistently with RGH 1.2, and with some tricks that I've learned over the years, I can pretty much eliminate all freezing on those, which is kind of the one downside. So sometimes they would have random boot freezing that has nothing to do with plugins and stuff, and that I've pretty much figured out how to work around that in almost all cases. Yeah, I've gotten successful glitches out of Zephyrs, but I have never gotten not never. I have rarely succeeded in generating a console that I would be comfortable with selling as a Zephyr. Anyway, what we heard that noise chime in was the successful completion of the NAND reading. So we're going to go ahead and unplug the NANDX, unplug and replug, and I'm just going to leave that there to the side and finish up with the LED modding. So this customer requested pink LEDs, so I'm going to pull out my handy dandy SMD reel thing. Modshop, did you look this thing up on Thingiverse and do a print on it? Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need 10 LEDs for a slim console. Come on, it's sticking to this other little dangly bit. There we go. Time to trim that one off. I do have LEDs available for sale on my site. They are not a particularly good price. If you need bulk LEDs, buy them on eBay or AliExpress or something. But if you're buying something else from me already and you just need a couple of LEDs to do your controller or whatever, I just wanted them to be available to people as a little bit of an add-on. Wavc Mod says, you're looking to buy a console from me again. When do I know for sure I'm going to have more consoles? So a recent change in policy, and it's reflected on the store right now. I am only going to post new consoles every Tuesday. As of right now, this moment, I don't have new consoles to post this coming Tuesday. I am dry on stock. I have been having a crazy run on send-ins that has kept me so busy I have not been buying. So I'm going to need to do that. Oh, a Nintendo dock replacement. Cool. Sorry, focus on LED for a second. Oh, I want to see this link. Imager. Oh, that's pretty slick. Did you disassemble the existing dock and reassemble the electronics into it? Or is there already like a third-party Chinese dongle that takes the USB-C and breaks it out to the HDMI and power inputs? Actually, the power supply is just USB-C, so I could see how a generic USB-C to HDMI device might exist and function, but it would surprise me if Nintendo hadn't somehow locked that to them. Just remove the PCB and a few parts from the original. Cool. That's pretty neat. I wonder if there's a market for that sort of thing. What was the licensing on the file? Was it reproduce and sell or commercially available, or? So what I'm doing when I look at the back of these resistors is looking at the markings on them, because they do have polarity. They have a positive and a negative side. Modchop, is your chat rate limited as well, or when I made you a mod, does that that exempt you from the rate limiting? Smooth dock. You know what? I'm just going to turn the rate limiting off. How about that? Enable slow chat. Uncheck. What's up? Not rate limited. Alright. Sorry, I know I'm asking a bunch of questions and you probably got other crap you're doing too. The difference is lately I've just been streaming the crap that I've been doing, or at least some small percentage of it. Last night I sat down here and did 4 consoles, so that this one showed up today, and I was trying to go into next week with a clean slate so that I could service send-ins quickly. Alright, so we got power plugged in, we got HDMI plugged in. Better shot and idea of how it's put together. Oh, that's nice. So that's still a portion of the OEM dock. It must have just broke apart. Oh, that's pretty neat. It is super compact. Nandex is $53 with JR Programmer, which is $32. They're sort of cheap, though you've broken both the inputs for wires that plug in and chip. So, guys, just another heads up, too, is we are going to, we being me, I don't know why I say we sometimes. Weekend Modder is going to have some special edition Nandexes on the site that I'm gunning for having in the store. Certainly less than $40. I'm thinking we might be able to hit as low as about $35 here in the next week or so. Cheapest amount of money for a reliable RGH. You could probably pick up a Fat Falcon RGH for retail you could pick one up for $30 to $50 and RGH it yourself for less than $30 or $50 in parts and have a RGH console for under $100. Oh. Oh, you need the remote? Do you need the remote as a question? No. The Xbox 360 consoles have an infrared port on them that's universal unless their settings are set such to turn it off. So I just find it a really handy way to turn consoles on and off on my workbench. I've seen some really other ingenious solution, including people making a custom. Actually, I think I'm talking about ModShop. ModShop made a custom slim PCB that he hardwired a couple of just clickable buttons to, and that's how he turns them on and off, I believe. So where am I going? Xbox screen. So it just booted up, no problem. So we are pretty much modded and good to go. We'll let you guys see the last bit, because I think I get called out on that on my other videos a bit for what to do, you know, after Dash is loaded and it's modded, kind of how to start out. So we'll show you how I copy over stuff from a USB to get it all set up after we get this thing cleaned up and put back together. Come on, big old globby of solder. There we go. Nice. Where do I get my consoles from? A lot of the consoles that I buy, I get off. The last batch was from a pawn shop, actually. I wouldn't say a lot that I bought there, but I don't have any super secret suppliers anymore. I used to buy really heavily from a site called Cowboom that I never wanted to tell anybody about because it was kind of scarce. It was a not eBay. It was a Best Buy reseller. Just makes it easy with dealing with multiple consoles. Oh yeah, badass. His little clickable button one. He wired it directly up to the. Here, I can show you guys. I can share this on the stream, I think. Lower left of the desktop. Yeah. So you can see down here where he wired to the traces that are exposed. You can also just use like a metal tool and bridge some of those contacts, although it's way less precise than the way that he's done it, which is by wiring up. So these wires obviously run in that little hole, pop out up over here, and then hit these couple of buttons. Super well done, and I think super clever. So that's great. Oh yeah, Cowboom was the shit when it was going down, man. I would order 10, 15, 20, 30 consoles at a time in a single day. Sometimes when they had a particular console as their deal of the day, I would just check out until the site rate limited my credit card, and then wait until it would clear and call back and do it again. Or not call back, but whatever. How am I protecting the chip? It's got a piece of double-sided foam tape that it comes packaged with that's underneath there. GameStop consoles are fine. I avoid their FATs because they do a kind of poor in-house reflow red ring 12-volt mod process that I don't particularly like. Their slims are mostly just repackaged. Even when they say refurbished, most of the time what they mean there is cosmetically. So I'm pretty certain that that GameStop has their own housings for controllers and housings for consoles made, because I've seen some weird replacement shells that I've never seen available for sale anywhere else. So they may cosmetically refurbish some slims, but I've never really had any problem with their slims as they have been refurbished. You can almost without exception, you can tell if a console is RGHable just from the outside appearance. The primary key is that all the S model slims are either Trinity or Corona. All of them are all RGHable, period. ModShop beat me to the punch. So if you buy in this body style that you see here that we're working on, you can never buy a console that could not be RGH if you buy this body style, the S model Slim. The E model Slim, if you buy June, so 6 of 2014 and before, you can pretty reliably get Coronas in the E model Slims. And then in the Fats, it takes a little bit of learning to identify those, but visually from the rear of the console, you can differentiate from a Corona to from a Jasper to a Falcon, and those are the only two that I care about, Jaspers and Falcons. So if I'm buying consoles and I get to physically inspect them first, if you just flip it over and look at the power socket and verify that it's got HDMI, you can guarantee yourself a Jasper or a Falcon even in the Fats. But which version is easier to RGH? They're all reasonably easy. You guys just watched me modify a Corona. The only variations that exist in this Corona are ones that would not require the Postfix. So that would cover Corona 16 meg NANDs. You just watched the Corona 16 meg NAND with a Postfix. So some of them don't require a Postfix, so that's one variation. And then the other variation, of which you can find a number of videos on my website, is the 4 gigabyte NANDs. So the 4 gig NANDs require an entirely different read-write method, but they're also, RGHable. So, I mean, bottom line is that, yeah, just do one. I wouldn't even go as far as Mod Shop and say do a Trinity as a beginner, because these Coronas, especially ones that don't require a Postfix, are super doable as well. And if you follow kind of the wire routing recommendations that you see in my videos and stuff, you can get real solid boot times out of a Corona 16 meg or 4 gig with or without a Postfix adapter. It's absolutely doable as a first timer. I think people tend to not give themselves enough credit. The only downside I can think of for a beginner would be to get a Corona with a 4 gig NAND and then be overly aggressive in flashing your NAND and end up bricked. Because with a Corona with a 4 gig NAND, you cannot recover from brick or from like soft brick using Zell. So in some cases, when you incorrectly build a new NAND file and then flash it to your console, Zell will still boot. And as long as Zell will still boot in most retails, you can use Zell to reflash a known good NAND image and recover the console. But on a 4 gig Corona, you cannot do that. So unfortunately, it has that single limitation. Wow, a Xenon launch with the first dashboard. What made you put it away so soon after you got it and never update it? That seems crazy to me. Alright, console is back together. Go ahead and plug in, power and HDMI, and we'll boot. You bought a Trinity RGH with a 120 gig hard drive, preloaded hard drive with Black Ops 2 and a GTA mod menu, all for $165. Great. Congratulations. You did good, I guess, if it's still working, right? Man, that boot was longer than is really acceptable. That took a while. Here is the boot. So let's set it up, and then we will boot it a few times to confirm the boot average. That first one was not great. I'm not super happy about that. Alright, so here's my TWM profile. Go to the storage menu, go into my USB, copy my copy of XEX menu to the hard drive. There are a number of tutorials that are available for how to use Buffalo and Xbox 360 file browser and a number of different tools for loading XEX menu onto a USB initially. I'm not going to cover those here. The other tutorials do a sufficient job. So go into XEX menu. We see two of them because there's one present on the USB and there's one present in the hard drive because we copied one there. And now we're copying and pasting over Dash Launch, Freestyle Dash, and Aurora. Doza says, "Hey Weekend Modder, when you first started RGHing, did you ever mess up a console?" And yes, most definitely. I can think of two that I've done, and one of them was quite recently. So, it's got to be 4 years ago, because I was still living in my old house. 4 years ago, I had a Corona 4 gig NAND when they were either new to being able to be RGH'd, or at least just new to me RGHing them. And I killed the pads on one of them for sure. Hybrid edits over all the consoles you've done. If you send them, you have to cringe and like kids gamer tags. I don't even see them anymore. I didn't even read what this guy had on here. I've seen some offensive ones that I've taken note of, but I couldn't even climb them back to you. There's some of them that I've definitely seen that I thought were, how have you not been banned already? Sort of question in my head about it. So, back to the other story, just to throw it out there. I pulled a pad on a 4 gig console, which I ended up replacing the customer's console entirely, and then I was able to send off that console to somebody who was more experienced about trace repair. It's actually a user who I don't know if he's around in the community anymore, but he had a pretty good rep over at the Team Executor forums and stuff by the name of Crafter. I think he was on some other forums as well, Krafter. He was a cool dude. He was the one who bailed me out when I ruined that 4 gig Corona, and then he trace repaired it for me, so I didn't completely take a loss on the console. And then the second console that I ruined was actually very recently. It was a customer's E-Series Slim, which needed to be have a Postfix adapter installed, much like we just did. And I got overly aggressive with installing the Postfix adapter and damaged the actual little post solder ball underneath the XC GPU. So I don't think that console will be a total loss either, because I think with a reball it will come back to life. But I don't plan on reballing anytime soon, so I'll have to wait until I stumble into another chance. So to meet up with somebody who has reballing or reflowing equipment and maybe trade them some services. So wow, that was like a first pulse instant boot. That's why I didn't want to decide this thing was bad booting right off the bat. You saw that one didn't take 10 seconds to boot successfully. And we're booting up directly into Aurora Dash. Yeah, Crafter was a cool dude. I wish I could still find the diagram. There was a there was a PNP/NPN diagram that he had posted on some forums that I used one time to wire up an Ace V3 to be dual NAND compatible before 15432 released those timing files that allowed them to boot through being in place even on the retail image. So it was like a pickup on the CR_EN, the cron shop enable coming off of the daemon in order to supply or not supply power to the glitch chip. It was pretty cool, and I wish I could find that diagram. If there's any chance, oh, Easy, what's up, dude? If Easy RGH Mods or Mod Shop knows about that diagram that I'm talking about, that crafter, that would be awesome if either one of you guys have a copy of that. I would like to make another one. Alright, so that one booted pretty quick. That was a fast boot test. We just RGH'd an Xbox 360, 16 megabyte NAND, installed the Postfix, verified that it's all good to go, did the LEDs, and what are we in? We're an hour into the stream, and I've been yammering and going slow and stuff. So, people, it is absolutely possible. Don't give up. You can do it. Kimchi, if it's your first time using a soldering iron, practice on something else first, man. Practice doing some soldering. Do I do Xbox One LEDs and fanned LEDs mods by chance? It would be a cool thing for me to do. Everyone in 2017 loves RGB. I do the front ring of light mod, but that is about it. I do sell controllers with Ring of Light edited as well, color-wise, but I don't do any like rapid fire or other mods like that. I'm really just trying to stay on the ball, doing my send-ins and doing my little bit of supply reselling for my chips and that sort of thing. Speaking of, again, guys, there's Ace V3s available in my shop right now. I've got Matrices and Cool Runner Rev Cs back on the way, should be in stock early next week. And then I'm also going to have some special edition and cheaper than normal Nandexes as well. If someone sent me an RGH, would I be willing to do a complete reinstall if the current install is complete trash? Let's see, maybe I should have some view with a webcam on it for this, because I'm just talking to you guys. Where do I have something? Man. Here we go. I couldn't see myself here. Alright, so that particular question is always interesting to me. If I have a virgin console sent to me and I RGH it, the path is clear, it's easy to do, I don't have to clean up after somebody else, I don't have to do anybody else's repair work. So that is lower effort than if somebody sends me a console they attempted to do an install and they botched. Now I have to clean up after them, make sure there's no damage, make sure I understand what they read and wrote to the NAND. It's actually a higher difficulty install. So people often want to send me a console for like tune-up or, hey, replace my glitch chip with this better booting glitch chip and stuff. All of that is possible, but it's really not my goal right now. Like I said, I'm trying to do my standard send-in service, keep a good turnaround time, occasionally sell some pre-modded consoles, that sort of thing. So, so Hybrid Edits asks, could fan LEDs be done though, and how much would it cost if you send in here to be done in orange? So, I'm not offering fan LEDs. Bio Paradise is going bye-bye then. Thank you for calling it out, Machop. Bio Paradise, here we go. Timed out. Block. There we go. Later, easy. Alright. So, I think I'm done. I don't really have anything else planned to show you guys. This was cool, and there's a lot of people watching, so I'm kind of hesitant to just turn it off. But this was fun. I like the Q&A, but 16 megabyte Corona with a Postfix. Hopefully this video helps some people out. We'll throw it up on the www.weekendmodder.com. I try to break it down between the different various motherboard types and give you some good advice starting over there. So it is totally separate from store.weekendmodder.com. There's just regular plain old weekendmodder.com. And that site is trying to be just informational. There are a couple of Amazon links, and there is a link to my store in the very lowest left area. Hey, give this sound chip right a shot. I don't know that I want to do that first time on air live in front of people. I do have a JR programmer here in my drawer, so I will give it a shot at some point and let you know. But anyway, I appreciate you guys, and thanks for watching. I'm going to enjoy the rest of what's left of my evening, and I hope you guys all do too. So, yeah, peace out.